Hi guys, it's Ray. Quick introduction to this video because the first big section you're going to see is not, it's relevant because it's how I got to this cup, but it's not what this cup is going to become. This was the first take on the fire tumbler over the black base back from Ink Week in March. It didn't work the way I wanted it to. I mean, it actually doesn't look half bad today, but so what I did was I gave it a really good sanding and I put a clear coat over it so it's pretty smooth at this point. And I put out a little survey and you guys voted that we are going to do the smoke effect on this. You had me really worried that I was going to have to wood grain over this, and I was trying to figure out how I was going to do that without it becoming uglier, what color I would have used. So the first part, I'm going to talk like I'm going to do what the cup was intended to be. So some of the language in there doesn't apply. I didn't turn it into a Chinese dragon cup when I was done. This is what we're doing. So I'm going to get off here. I believe my decals just finished cutting over my shoulder. So I will be back after the first step while we get it to this point, minus the sanding and the clear coat, to put the decals on, and then we will get going on the smoke effect, which should be fun because I've never done it, and I am going to have to go scavenge for a candle because we don't burn candles in this house. So watch me get it to this point and I will be back. So this one wasn't originally in the plan for this week. But I'd thrown the question out there if anybody had any color scheme they'd like to see on a black base. Because I wasn't planning on doing any black bases at all for this because I tend to do them so much. So, my hand is wet. I'm struggling to get my glove on. Sorry. But somebody had suggested a fire scheme on the black, which I have not done, so I'm okay with doing that. So this one is going to be the fire tumbler on the black base. Tonight there will be a bonus video at 8 o'clock of a standard fire tumbler because I'd already recorded another standard fire tumbler as a bonus video because I don't have any fire tumblers currently stocked. So today will be a dual fire tumbler day. And this resin is pretty hot, so I'm going to work fairly quick. I pulled some red ink, some yellow ink, some orange ink. I do have one brown pulled just in case I decide I need it. I have my Pinata Blanco Blanco for my white because I am doing a black base here. And that's it. And I did not plug in my heat gun yet, so I'm going to have to do that real quick because I don't leave that plugged in when I'm not using it. So I'm giving this a pretty good base. This is a 20-ounce traditional tumbler, so I'm giving it a good between 25 and 30 mLs. Probably closer to 25 because there was about 30 left in the cup after I poured out for other cups. So 20-25 is good. I'll give it plenty of movement if it's not too thick. I did throw a vinyl glove over my nitrile glove just to kind of save time in between spreading the resin and moving on to the next step. That way I can just peel that one off. I am going to go ahead and hit this with the torch real quick just to get any bubbles and to pre-warm the epoxy a little bit just because it was hot on its own and getting thick. I don't necessarily normally do this with a fire tumbler, but for this one I'm going to. I'm going to plug my heat gun in real quick and then we'll be ready to go. So I'm just going to do this like I normally do. It'll be interesting because I do this style of tumbler all the time, but I don't normally do it mixed up random color-wise. So this will be a little bit different for that reason. And I don't think I can get this one open. There she goes. And there's really not much left in it anyways. And I have my white ready. So I'm just going to start dripping color on. I'm going to start with the red and work my way through all the colors. And hope that I don't end up with a muddy mess. I mean, they're all colors that go together, so it should be fine. And I'm going to try and leave a little bit of black visible, maybe. Potentially. See what we end up with. Whoops. Sometimes this gets a little gummed up and you have to give it a squeeze, and I gave it a good squeeze. Okay, so any spots that just have white, I am going to obviously go in and put color on. If I don't want white in the end. And I don't normally, with my white swirls, go back over with a lot of color. I just let the process work. But I think because of the style of tumbler that I'm going to have to, because I don't really want, like I said, a lot of white visible. So I think I'm going to start there. I'm going to go ahead and give it some heat and try and get it to move and shift around, and we'll see what we end up with. This is the Wagner Furno 550. Has multiple fan and heat settings. I'm going to keep the heat fairly low and just turn the fan up. And I'm going to tilt my tumbler, or my turner, up. And kind of work up and against the natural spin of the turner. To start with. Coming around the back side here. I am still on the cup. I'm just trying to spread some. Okay. Let me try to get the bottom. I'm going to try and come around and spread this top back down some. I'm going to tilt the turner down a little bit to move in the opposite direction. Okay, let me get this turned off. Alright, so that's off. I think I'm going to put a couple more drops of color in, because I do have some white peeking through. I feel like some of the yellow looks almost green on the black, but it's not horrible. But I'm going to come over some of those white spots. I don't know if this really screams fire to me or if it screams more like Chinese dragon. Scorched my cup a little bit. When I say if you're using a torch to keep it moving, especially on ink. Alright, I'm just going to let this one spin out and do what it does. It looks cool. I mean, I don't really get fire. I feel like I've got too much color in some of this. I like the bottom, I like the top. I don't like what's going on in the middle. So I'm actually going to grab a stick here. Which I might just grab a popsicle stick. And I may actually try and move some of this back off, where I feel like it's too much. Bring some of that black back through. I see one more little spot I want to do that with. And this should level itself back out as it spins. I'm not really worried about that. So I'm going to go ahead and torch it again real quick just to keep it moving and let it smooth itself out and decide what kind of decal this one's going to get. I already decided this isn't going to get my standard fire decals. I think this one might just get like a fire flag decal. So that's it. I will be back when I am ready for decal. Okay, I'm going to get the decals on this for the peekaboo. So I'm using a temporary removable vinyl for this part. Because I want it to come back off fairly easily, but still make a good seal. So not stencil vinyl, not anything like that. I like the way this section looks of everything on the top, and that's going to be where I put the Maltese cross decal. So it's the only part I'm truly going to be mindful of placement on. So and I'm going to do my 3 guys at the bottom. I'm actually going to, though, I think, split them up because this is such a taper to this cup at the bottom. It's going to really curve up. And because they're not actually decals, I can kind of line up the grassy spaces to make them look more level. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these guys into 3 parts. And I'm going to start with this one in the middle because this is the middle. And I'm just going to try and get it lined up so it's still independent, but it's still part of the same when I remove them. Won't curve as much. You do want to make sure these are on here really, really well. So I will grab my brayer, and I'm actually going to burnish them down real quick with my brayer. I don't want to run my scraper because I don't want to lift the vinyl. And then the last one. Alright. One tiny bubble, but I'm not going to worry about it because it really doesn't matter. So I'm just trying to find like my center point. Because I have the last 2 guys that go on the back. Guys or girls. And the bunkers, you all look the same. We all look the same. I'll put this one up just a little bit because I don't really want the peachy orange color I ended up with to show through. So I am going to take this outside and spray paint the whole thing white and then give it some good dry time. I'm just burnishing it down with my brayer, like I said. I'm going to give it some good dry time, and I will come in and do the smoke effect. And then we will remove it and see what we have. So I will be back. Okay, so I have my cup painted. It was still not quite smooth, but I did a really good job with my spray paint, so, you know, there's that. Again, I've not done this before. I managed to find some tea lights, so I'm going to try with tin foil. It should produce the smoke I need. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. Again, I really don't know what I'm doing. So you want that black smoke though. I know this is hard for you guys to see, but you can see that black smoke coming up. And it's starting to cover the cup. So I'm gonna try and scooch a little more in frame here. Get that smoke rolling again. Probably a good idea to not have a smoke detector on while you're doing this, and to have a fire extinguisher handy just in case. We are pretty fire conscious in our household, so those things are always around. And I do want to get some on the bottom, so. Seems like with the foil, where it's like a fresh part of the foil, you get more smoke. And I'm not gonna lie, the foil is getting a little bit warm. Now I'm getting some good smoke going. I do want quite a bit of smoke effect. I really like the way this part got. Let me turn you this way a minute so you can see it. Getting there. I really do want it like over all of the figures on here. I almost smothered my candle with my tin foil. So I'm going to bring the bottom back in. Just hold the cup completely upright for a couple minutes. Not a couple minutes, really, a couple seconds. It's funny, it's like not sticking to the bottom of the cup. I don't understand why. Yep, I'm going to pause you for 1 second and put this foil down and grab another piece. Okay. Slide the candle out of the way for a minute. So this is where I'm at. I can't even figure out how to get you in frame right now. It is softening up the paint a little bit, but maybe that angle's better. So I do want to get a little bit more on there. So fresh foil. And I don't know if it's better to have it tighter balled up or looser. I really have no idea. Oh, sorry. I got a good chunk of smoke on the bottom that time. I'm gonna come in and try and get the other side a little bit more. That's what I'm going for. All right. So I'm gonna come in here again. Because there's so much color underneath, I really want quite a bit of color from the smoke on this cup. And I just smothered my candle. Hopefully I can get it to relight. I think I touched my foil to my cup. I like that section. Again, my foil is getting quite toasty. Got a good burn going right now, though. I'm just looking it over, giving it a spin, seeing where I might want to do more. I'm gonna grab another chunk of foil because that one's too warm to hold again. Because I do kind of want just a little bit more. Let it start to smoke. And get my cup down there. If you hold your cup more upright, you can kind of get some more upwardly wisps of smoke. Which is kind of neat. Just letting it heat up a little bit again, get that smoke going. All right, so I think that is plenty. Let me get this out of the way so that I can maybe actually get it so you can see this. It's funny because it's blending in with the marble table a little too much. But that's my smoke. I wish I hadn't have scuffed those couple little spots, but I'm gonna go ahead and get my cup cradle in here, and I'm gonna go ahead and remove the decals. Okay, so I have my cup cradle. I have just a piece of backing paper from some stencil vinyl because I did some big stencils yesterday. So that way it'll keep it, if it is soft, from sticking to my cradle. But I'm just going to go ahead and try and get these decals removed. I want to remove my decals before I seal this. Cool. I like it. Trying to be very careful to not chip my paint. Then I'm going to go ahead and remove these guys. Now remember, I put the middle guy on first, so I'm going to remove that one last because these bottoms were overlapping just a little bit. Oh, I think the smoke effect on this was definitely the right way to go. I love it already. This decal has a lot to remove. Whoops. I'm trying not to grab from outside. I'm trying to actually grab the vinyl itself, because if I scratch this a little bit, it's not going to affect the cup. And there's a little piece of glitter. But if I scratch the white, it's going to affect the look of the cup. If I scratch that epoxy layer, it's just going to cover with the next layer. So kind of pay attention to your tool placement when you're doing something like this, because touching up the smoke layer is probably virtually impossible. I don't really want to find out. Almost done, I promise. I know these videos have been getting super long this week. But I don't have a piece of software that will allow me to like fast forward mid-roll right now. But wow, that came out pretty awesome. I did scuff it, like I said, a little bit. I'm not even going to worry about it. But I'm going to let this sit on my drying rack for a little bit just to cool back off the paint layer. And then I'm going to take it outside and give it a couple coats with some Rust-Oleum Clear, because my understanding from, I think I saw one video on this like a year ago, is that the smoke will move if I go right to epoxy. I mean, I'm kind of tempted to try it because I hate clear coating cups, as you know, but I really don't want to mess it up any more than it already is with the little scuffs. So I'll probably just leave it be and then go do this. So I will be back after the clear coat is on when we get the coat of epoxy on. Okay, I am ready to get some epoxy on this quick. I did have a little bug here that I picked off, and I got a little smudge here, but hopefully it'll all blend in. This got a little smudgy. But really hope it all blends back together, because I'm pretty pleased with how this came out. Let me get you a little more light there. So I'm just going to get a coat of epoxy on it. And this will probably get a second coat of clear, but it is just clear. So, and my cutting this into 3 sections to get it straighter didn't work. It's still slightly off kilter, but I had the best of intentions at least. Hopefully I have enough in this cup. It's going to be tight, but I only mixed up 15 because it was the end of that sample of the KS resin I had. I actually have KS resin en route to me, so should be arriving tomorrow maybe. But I'm just getting this smoothed on. I'm actually really happy with it overall. Definitely saved this cup. See, that smudge just ended up looking like a darker spoke spot. Same with these ones. So I'm actually okay with that. I took a little sponge, makeup sponge, where I had those little marks, and some gray and some white alcohol ink, and kind of blended it on a little bit to try and fix where those little nicks and things were, and a little smudge I got here. Perfect fix? No, but better to salvage it than end up having to strip entirely. So that's all coated. I'm just going to do my run along the rim. I also did sand the rim already. Cleaned that up in between, so I can get a smooth finish. So let me get my gloves off, grab my torch, and go ahead and give it a quick torch. Nothing crazy. Always keep your flame moving. Especially on a light color cup, you really don't want to scorch your resin. It'd stick out like a sore thumb. Okay, so I'm going to take you off of here and bring you down. Came out very cool. The bottom's just got the smoke on it, no decals. Bring you back up and you can see the cross as it comes by. So that is it. That is my smoke effect peekaboo over the botched alcohol ink on black that we did during Ink Week. Hope you like it. Thank you.